A barrel horse named Moose has become the center of a growing controversy after photographs appeared to show him at a rodeo in an extremely thin condition. His ribs, spine, hips, and shoulders appeared prominently visible. Yet Moose was reportedly saddled, taken into the arena, and run around the barrel pattern. The photographs quickly went viral, leaving the horse community with one disturbing question. How was a horse who looked like this allowed to compete? Now, a public statement from Moose's owner, Bianca McLaughlin, has added another twist to the story. According to McLaughlin, she did not know that Moose had become so thin. She said she had received videos only days earlier that appeared to show him looking healthy and running the barrel pattern. She also claimed she had not given permission for Moose to compete at the rodeo. McLaughlin explained that she did not immediately respond to the flood of online comments and messages because she was arranging for his recovery and rehabilitation. However, after her statement was released, commenters began resurfacing screenshots that they claimed showed McLaughlin initially defending the person caring for Moose, after photographs of his condition had already appeared online. That has raised additional questions about what she knew when she learned about Moose's condition and whether she initially understood how serious the situation was. Commenters also resurfaced an older Beware post involving McLaughlin and a different horse that was allegedly returned in poor condition. A previous online allegation does not automatically prove anything about what happened to Moose. However, its reappearance has added another layer to the controversy and caused people to demand a clearer timeline. The most important issue is not the face-met argument, though. It's the horse shown in those photographs. Moose appeared seriously underweight, and someone still reportedly decided that he should compete. Before Moose reached the arena, he had to be transported to the rodeo, unloaded, prepared, saddled, and taken towards the gate. There were multiple opportunities for someone to stop and question whether he was physically capable of running safely. One of the most common reactions online has been that a horse could not become this thin in only a few days. Significant loss of fat and muscle generally develop over time. However, photographs alone cannot tell us exactly how long Moose had been losing weight or what caused it. Inadequate nutrition is one possible explanation, but it is not the only one. Severe weight loss can also be associated with dental disease, parasites, gastrointestinal problems, poor nutrition absorption, chronic illness, pain, or increased energy demands. That is why Moose needs a complete veterinary evaluation to determine what caused his condition. But a person does not need to know the exact diagnosis to recognize that a horse may be unfit for intense exercise. Barrel racing requires rapid acceleration, hard deceleration, tight turns, balance, coordination, and muscular strength. A horse with substantial loss of fat and muscle may not be physically prepared to handle those demands safely. The fact that Moose reportedly completed the pattern does not prove that he was healthy enough to run. Horses are remarkably willing animals. Many will continue trying when they are tired, injured, sick, or physically depleted. They respond to training, adrenaline pressure, and the rider's cues. A horse cannot explain that his body does not feel strong enough to perform. The people surrounding him must recognize when he should not be asked. That is why this controversy extends beyond what may have happened before Moose arrived at the rodeo. It is also about what reportedly occurred once he was there. How many people saw him before the run? Did anyone express concern? Did competition officials have the authority to prevent him from entering? Was a veterinarian available? And would anything have happened if photographs had not been posted online? Competition organizers cannot diagnose every medical condition by looking at a horse. However, they should be able to recognize an obvious welfare concern. Pausing an entry for a veterinary assessment is not the same as publicly accusing someone of mistreating a horse. It is simply a safety and health decision. If a horse arrives visibly lame, actively bleeding, struggling to breathe, or showing signs of colic, officials should intervene. A horse displaying a profoundly concerning loss of physical condition should receive the same protection. Every rodeo and barrel race should have a written rule allowing officials to hold an entry when a horse appears unfit to compete. A veterinarian or another qualified professional should then determine whether the horse can safely perform. The process should be calm, private, and focused on the animal. It should not depend on a spectator posting photographs after the run has already occurred. There also needs to be a clear way for competitors, employees, and spectators to report welfare concerns. People should not have to choose between saying nothing and starting a public confrontation at the gate. A welfare system that activates only after disturbing photos go viral is not a functioning welfare system at all. Moose's recovery must now be the priority. He should receive a thorough veterinary examination to determine why he lost weight and whether his muscles, organs, hydration, and blood values have been affected. His feeding program must also be increased carefully. Veterinarians warn that suddenly giving a severely starved horse large amounts of concentrated feed can cause dangerous metabolic and electrolyte changes, known as refeeding syndrome. The details of Moose's rehabilitation should be determined by the professionals examining him. His individual needs will depend on whether his weight loss resulted from inadequate nutrition, a medical condition, or several contributing factors. Recovery may take months. Looking better in a photograph does not necessarily mean a horse has restored his muscle, stamina, and internal health. Moose should not be returned to training simply because his ribs become less visible. He needs enough time to recover physically before anyone considers asking him to perform again. The public would benefit from objective updates about his progress, dated photographs taken from consistent angles, weight measurements, veterinary observation, and a professionally supervised rehabilitation plan would provide more useful information than arguments between strangers. Anyone with firsthand documentation should preserve the original material. Complete message threads, original videos, dated photographs, veterinary records, and so on. At the same time, people should not use this situation as permission to threat, harass, or publish private information about anyone involved. That behavior does nothing to help the horse and can make it harder to establish actually what happened. Whatever the final timeline reveals, one fact remains impossible to ignore. A horse who appeared to be in a deeply concerning physical condition reportedly competed at a public event, and that is not okay. Somewhere along the way, the safeguards that should have protected Moose appear to have failed. That should concern the entire horse industry. When a horse arrives at a competition in questionable condition, protecting that horse should not depend on whether disturbing photographs later go viral. Officials need the authority, training, and procedures to intervene before the horse is asked to perform. We hope Moose is now safe, receiving veterinary care and being given the time he needs to recover. We also hope a complete and properly documented timeline eventually explains how this happened and why. It is important to state that this case specific information discussed in this video comes primarily from publicly available social media statements, comments, photographs, and screenshots. We have not located a publicly available veterinary report, animal control report, court record, or official investigation. The screenshots and allegations being circulated have not been independently verified. Screenshots can be incomplete or missing context, and allegations involving a different horse do not prove what happened to Moose. We are not making any claim that a particular person committed abuse, neglect, dishonesty, or any criminal offense. Everyone mentioned should have an opportunity to provide a response and supporting documentation. As more verified information becomes available, we will continue to follow this story and clearly distinguish confirmed facts from allegations. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, I am not AI. If you listen closely, you can hear me breathing.